All right, I think we're live. What's going on? Welcome back to the basement. I'm here with Danny. We're going to be hopping into a bunch of underdog drafts here. We have a Mitten 3 already queued up. We did a bunch on Danny and Bush's channel, Fantasy Stock Exchange. Go subscribe if you haven't already. How are you doing here, Danny? Even though, we have been hanging out for the past like 2-3 hours.
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, long time no see. We haven't really chopped it up in a while. I'm just joking. Yeah, if you guys, if you guys aren't coming from our stream, spent about an hour and a half there, did a few drafts. Did have to listen to Bush a couple times and make some Eagles teams, which grossed me
Yeah.
out. Hopefully,
Had
we
to
have
shy
some
away from the
Cowboys.
Cowboys, We'll get
Hey,
some we'll
hopefully,
get some Dallas teams in here.
let's ride. Let's ride.
But so what we're doing here is the Mitten 3, and these are $5 enter on Underdog. They're pretty much like the puppy, but it's for the NFL playoffs. First place gets 35K, second 17, third 10, and it's really fun. Where it's of course half PPR, one quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers / tight ends, a flex, 5 bench spots, and the goal is to just advance your team through every round of the playoffs. So the wild card round, the divisional round, the conference championships, Super Bowl, and the idea is to field enough players in your team to advance. So if you have like the Eagles, who are a first round bye team, you need to kind of do the calculus in your head. How can I make this team advance without having these Eagles players in round one?
Yeah,
So
it's really fascinating because this is the type of tournament where, like, if you're a macro based thinker, if you're able to, plot out some certain scenarios in your head while you're drafting, you're automatically going to get an edge. Because obviously, as we know, we aren't playing on a level playing surface, if you will. Like, this isn't like normal best ball where 17 weeks, every single play or every single team is going to play the same number of games. You kind of have to map out exactly what you think is a potential scenario to happen in the NFL playoffs. So speaking of potential scenarios, I mean, we do have the 101. I will let you take it away, but there's a clear answer here for me now, knowing that he's probably not going to get the bye week.
yeah, exactly. It's got to be Josh Allen now that, the Chiefs are at 83% to get that first round bye. Bills 17%. I guess what? They would have to, like, the Chiefs have to lose against,
Yep.
dude. They're not losing versus Las Vegas, bro. There's
which
just
is
no way.
which is like very interesting because obviously, the tragedy on Monday obviously left it in terms of where they're not playing the same number of games. Well, it actually happened where if the Bills had technically won out with that game included against the Cincinnati Bengals, they would have been the number 1 seed. So for the most part, we're getting a lot of different texture here than a lot of the drafters were drafting, assuming the Bills would get the 1 seed, right? Because earlier in the month, I mean, even 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a lot of people were drafting as though the Bills would be the 1 seed, maybe not getting potentially, Bills Eagle stacks hypothetically. Now we have a lot more available on the table here.
And a lot of people probably, double wrapping that quarterback with Josh Allen, and then it's tough because maybe you get that scenario where like the Bills run into, let's say the Bills run into, I don't know, who could they play in round one? It wouldn't be the Jaguars. It would be like the Steelers or something. Like maybe it gets to the spot where they
Dolphins.
could they play Steelers round one and beat them up so bad that like they're sitting starters by like the fourth quarter?
I guess, but the way I view it is the Bills are such an easy team to predict in the sense that with the Bills, if they're going to put up, 45 points on the team, it's not going to be because it's not going to be because of Devin Singletary, James Cook rushing for 150 yards, right? So if you're stacking this team, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you have Allen as your anchor, basically any player in that offense, running back, receiver, or tight end, you figure is mostly going to be attached to Allen in terms of being able to score fantasy points. Not to mention with Allen, you're getting that added bonus, if you will, that anytime they're inside the 5, anytime they're inside the 10, this guy gets basically used like a fullback.
Yeah, they're throwing the ball a ton. He gets the inside the 5 looks.
100%. Big shout out, Nick. Big Dolphins truther over here.
Dolphins roll the Bills.
I would say if there's one team that's in that range, again, maybe it's only the Steelers, the Bills, or the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Like at least the Dolphins showed that they can play the Bills close, and they actually beat the Bills earlier in the season. So there's a team that could potentially stylistically match up to the Bills and maybe knock them off. I think it would be the Dolphins, but obviously it starts like if Tua Tagovailoa is not healthy for that game,
that's what I was going to ask. You think Tua would suit up for that wild card game?
There's a lot of speculation to be had there. I mean, he's had 3 concussions in the same season, which
that's brutal, man.
That's awful.
You've dealt with concussions, right?
Oh yeah, no, I've dealt with concussions.
That I played for a while, but I never got hit that hard. Just ribs.
Well, I'll tell you, the biggest like underrated thing with dealing with concussions is just like I don't even know how to describe it. You feel different, right?
Mm.
Like like mentally you feel like something's not exactly right. And that was me suffering 3 concussions within 3 years. So the fact that he
Yeah.
got that in a season, man, like I'm surprised he knows what city he's in right now. Like
Yeah, that's
genuinely.
brutal, man. Like, it'd probably be for the best that he doesn't play for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, 100%.
He probably
Uh
want to, though.
I'm
What do we
seeing
got
one
in here?
one
He's
player I'm
better.
really praying for, man. I just want one
Oh,
texture.
okay.
I want
I
one
wonder who it
texture
could
with it.
possibly be. I wonder
Hmm.
who it could be.
Okay.
Possible to
Debo Sam.
discuss some dynasty, or are we just gonna be focused on best ball? I mean, we're down for whatever, King.
And we're down for
Crown.
whatever, you know?
We were talking some
Okay.
2023, we were talking some 2024 with Donovan Edwards. Oh, we got CD. Oh, let's go.
Is
Oh
Tony
my
oh,
goodness.
and Tony? And Tony?
Yeah, we could just go
Like
Tony.
that. I think that's
Let's
the
do it.
play. Oh man, this is a beautiful start. Bills Cowboys was probably one of my biggest textures last year,
Yeah,
and
I honestly don't care if this is what a lot of my teams look like. I literally
ge-
don't care. Like, if a lot of my teams are literally just straight Cowboys Bills, I do not care.
genuinely though. Like last year, I want to say it felt like 35-40% of my teams were Cowboys Bills. I was a lot more, smart with my textures this year. I was building them out more, but I mean, there's not many builds as aesthetically pleasing as Bills Cowboys in this.
I agree. They both got bounced early last year, huh?
Yeah. Oh, the Bills
How'd the
got bounced in
Cowboys
the
get
second round.
bounced last year?
So basically, first of all, I mean, they committed like 14 penalties for like 120 yards in that game. That was pretty ridiculous. They just shot themselves in the foot, genuinely, and they had a chance to win at the end of the game if Cedric Wilson, especially, comes down with that fourth down grab. Obviously, everybody's going to point to, oh, Dak ran the draw, they didn't run out of time, ha ha ha, so
I remember
funny.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Class, like they're like classic Cowboys, but it
Is that
wouldn't
versus
even
Niners?
versus the Niners, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have even come down to that because basically on fourth down, Dak heaved the long ball to now Dolphin Cedric Wilson, and he just didn't make an adjustment on the ball, incomplete. Somehow got a stop after that, but realistically, if you score there and you potentially win that game 24-23.
Yeah, the Niners were rolling.
Oh yeah, no, they got off to a fantastic start that game. Like their offensive line
Played
was just
well versus, I
moving
think they played
guys.
well against the Packers too. They looked very
Oh
good.
yeah,
The 49ers, they're going to have Debo for this run as well, I imagine.
yeah, yeah. No, 100%. No,
Feel I would
they're a
like to
good
see
team
some Debo. I want to see some Debo in these playoffs, and we didn't get to really see like the Debo that we sort of like
this
that we know
season.
and love this season, dude.
Yeah, no, I
It
agree
was
with you
not
there.
that great, dude. Look, dude, 54 for 612 and 2 after 77
Oh,
for 1406.
well, I talked about it. So I released a video today that was basically mentioning the biggest lessons we learned this year, and Debo was one of them because basically we knew he's like a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I fell victim to this. A lot of people fell victim to this, where we're taking a second round receiver with non-elite target totals, if you will, because realistically, yeah, 121 targets is fine, but he would have needed to have that elite efficiency over 11 yards per target like he did last year to match what his ADP was going into this year. So we just saw the efficiency completely dip off. Over 11 yards per target last year, just over 6 yards per target this year. Very, very inefficient versus one of the most efficient receiver seasons of all time last year. That's the big difference between being, the wide receiver 23 in points per game versus what he was last year, what wide receiver 3 overall.
Yeah, dude.
So
The touchdowns were there. Yeah, Debo. People are saying it definitely. He was an easy fade in hindsight. I did like Debo because I know the efficiency is tough to bounce back, but it's still a
yeah,
guy in his prime. I'm saying what Gabe Davis,
yeah.
Singletary.
I like that. I like that turn. If this was if the Bills were obviously had a better chance at the bye, I would have considered Dak. But I mean, realistically, there you're hoping Josh Allen plays every game for you anyway. So I don't mind just going with the Bills there, hoping potentially Ezekiel Elliott and Schultz potentially fall back. That would
I'd
be the
love that.
perfect scenario. Oh
Zeke,
man,
Schultz,
this see
Cook, Knox. Yeah, we're cooking.
we got some fucking really good values on this team.
Gallup, McKenzie. Yeah,
Got some really
dude.
good values as we take half Cowboys. Yeah, I love the value there.
And yeah, Josh Allen at the 101, 1.3 ADP,
Yeah,
dude. What?
yeah, no,
That's a
for real.
steal.
The one question I have, by the way, Brock Purdy going over Dak Prescott is ludicrous. I don't know who
I'd
just
like to
did
see if he
that.
has any San Fran. I mean, he does.
That
He has
that
San Fran out the ass.
I mean that would make sense. And then that's the problem I have with going with McCaffrey in the first round is if you don't have an AFC team that you can stack that's a cheaper quarterback, you're stuck with reaching on Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
It's not
dude.
what I want
That's
to
not
do.
a spot I want to be at. I will say, I mean,
Like if
he
I'm
runs
building
a
Niners,
ton, but geez, dude. Yeah,
If
if you're
I'm building
ideally, if you're building Niners, you want them on the other side of your AFC stack.
Yeah, and I would want the AFC quarterback in that instance. So if
Yeah,
I'm building Niners and I could potentially get, Joe Burrow. So if I go McCaffrey and Burrow on the turn, okay, that's an acceptable one, right?
yeah, I think that's
Or,
fun.
Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, someone like that. You want to predict, an odd playoff run. But if you're stacking him with Chiefs, you're not getting Patrick Mahomes. I don't want Brock Purdy to be my main quarterback. You can add the Bills to that mix. Realistically, I don't know why Joe Burrow is like a half round, almost a full round after those guys, because I think the Bengals have just as good of a chance to make the whole dance as the
Yeah,
Chiefs or the
I
Bills do
agree.
this year.
Moving forward, like I've been just sort of drafting off ADP, but moving forward, like Joe Burrow will be my 104.
Agreed.
After that, I think it gets close. I think you're right that you'd probably prefer Kelsey, Diggs, Chase. You could make a case for. I mean, you could make a case for Brown too over McCaffrey.
I'd agree with
I
that.
guess he is far and away like the best fantasy running back with the best like Super Bowl equity. You know what I mean? Like I guess like Eckler's next, but I don't think
Pollard,
they. Yeah, but that's a pretty steep fall off.
I would say so. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because the reason why he goes so high is because he blends, potential pathing towards a Super Bowl along with having that elite, 25 point per game type of ceiling. Well, in half PPR, that would more so be around the 22,
What are we
23 mark.
saying?
But
Are we saying
uh,
Schultz Knox? I don't mind Schultz Knox. I think Schultz
Uh,
for
I, th-
sure.
I think that's a great duo there, especially getting the big playability. In terms of touchdown scoring, but big playability, big spike week potential of both,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously being involved in the red zone for their respective teams. So, yeah, I like that.
Chris brings up a good point. How often do you guys just giga stack a potential Super Bowl matchup? Bush was saying he's sort of trying to shy away from it a little bit. Like if it's like this, where like a Bills Cowboys thing falls in my lap, I'll star all Bills, all Cowboys, and like we've done this entire draft. If we're just sitting at the turn and there's two guys I have starred
Just
like
fall to
towards the
us,
top,
yeah.
I'm just gonna keep taking Bills Cowboys until I'm forced out of that comfort zone.
And that's where I'm at as well. Like, I'm not going to force it out of my way. Like, if I have to reach like 6+ picks just to make sure it gets textured that way, no, I'm not going to do that. However, if it's kind of falling in our lap where like basically all of our guys have been at value, if not, a few picks at most being a reach, I don't mind, doing that type of build. And realistically, like the only build that we're really, hurt from missing is going to be Stephon Diggs. The only Cowboy realistically that we're hurt from missing would be what, Zeke?
Yeah, Zeke, like maybe
I mean, like, I
Dak,
guess
but
you could say
probably
Dak,
not.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, in terms of weapons, I think we're there.
yeah, and both teams have enough weapons to the point where like you can, we're through 7 rounds here. We've done nothing but Cowboys and Bills. We're fine, and we're also not really scrambling. Like I don't feel pressure to like if we had Eagles or Chiefs and we had like a 1 seed in here, I'd feel pressure to stack up on an ETN or a Fournette, one of these like wild card heroes. Like
Yeah.
in this build, I feel no pressure at all to like try and front load points. Like neither of these teams will have a bye, and you can just kind of
Just let the value fall to you realistically.
literally.
Although something that I am interested in, obviously, if Gallup falls, like I think it would be obviously a really good pick for this team. But I am curious, like, what would you prefer? Maybe a one-off in this range and like a T.Y. Hilton, or would you rather take the Gallup and get a one-off with maybe the last pick?
I think I would probably prefer Gallup here because I
Okay.
think that those like ancillary pieces sort of fall off because we're talking like, man, we're talking Hilton, Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
Like they fall off so much. Like I'd rather just lock up a Gallup and then just sort of see what's down here. Like I mean, I don't know. At first, before the Dolphins like lost recently and before the Tua stuff, I was actually very interested in like Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah.
I think now we're getting a little bit hairy there.
Because that's what my question basically was. It's like, do you want to take like a guy like Tyreek now? Because they do have the inside track, I believe, to make the playoffs. They just basically have to beat your Jets, who are starting Joe Flacco, a team that obviously is already mathematically eliminated. And realistically, the only way that they can not make the playoffs is if the Bills somehow get upset with the Patriots. And as we know, the Bills have everything to play for this week.
So let's go Gallup.
Yeah, I like that.
We could go Gallup McKenzie. It's just keep it Bills Cowboys. Like I'm cool with that. If you want to go
I'm down.
Andrews or DTN, like I say we just go McKenzie and see what comes back to us.
That works with me, honestly. And that's what I was going to mention too. Like, because I guess we do have two running backs, so that would be the issue. We probably have to force a pick with a running back with our last pick. Probably
Mhm.
somebody, especially with immediate value, because you want to potentially get that big week one to potentially carry you over. Because we have Cowboys, we're obviously not going to take a Rashad White type because that would just be counterintuitive. You don't get any longevity
Yeah,
out of the pick.
I was gonna ask sort of who
Um,
like on that Cowboys side, who do you think are like what are teams that aren't really going to see them until like the conference championship? I imagine
The Packers.
Niners.
The
Oh,
Packers.
Packers would be one. Okay.
The Packers would be one simply
I
because
kind of like
the
AJ Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon. I don't hate that.
I was that's who I was going to suggest. Basically, with the Packers, if they win against Detroit, they are in the playoffs, regardless of what happens. It's really a 3-man race for that 7th seed in the NFC right now. If the Packers win, they are in. If the Packers lose, then we set up a scenario where if the Seahawks win, they are in regardless. If the Packers indeed do lose. But if the Seahawks lose and the Lions beat the Packers, the Lions get the 1 seed. The big difference here is when we were in Buffalo, we were drafting a ton of Lions, thinking that they would run the table going into this game. Obviously, them dropping that game against Carolina is very, very huge in terms of these playoff indications, which is why the Packers even have a fighting chance to begin with.
This is a wild game that they dropped, dude. I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like that might have been like a record amount of rushing yards in the first half. Like they just let him run for like 300 rushing. Everyone got home, like even Raheem Blackshear or whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. Chris does ask an interesting question. He says, "What if the Bills rest versus the Pats if the Chiefs lock up the 1 seed?" The thing is, though, if the Bills lose against the Pats and the Bengals win their game, I believe the Bengals do have the tiebreaker on them. Obviously, we can't use the straight head to head because the game didn't continue on. But
Yeah, it just didn't happen.
I believe they do have the tiebreaker, though, whether it's common opponents or conference record. So I do think that the Bills are still going to be fighting. Not to mention, they're just a team, obviously, off of that emotional trauma. Probably just wants a game to get back on the right track, regardless.
We're taking ETN or Jones here.
Uh, I don't mind going with. So I'm assuming, yeah, we have more Bills than we do Packers. Technically speaking, the Bills can't play the Jaguars till the conference championship, and the Cowboys can't play the Packers till the conference championship. I would probably say that it's more likely that it's more likely the Packers make the NFC championship than the Jags make the
I
AFC
agree.
championship.
I
So
agree.
I don't
I say
mind
we
going
go
with
Aaron
Aaron Jones
Jones. What do
there.
you think? All right, let's
Yeah,
go
I don't
Aaron
mind that.
Jones.
I don't mind that. So that scenario would be hoping that the Cowboys get pushed onto the 2 or 3 side of the bracket. So if the Packers beat the 49ers, they would play the Eagles in the second round. The Cowboys would actually play against the Vikings or New York Giants. And then from that scenario, you would be hoping for a Packers versus Cowboys NFC championship, which realistically, experienced quarterback in the playoffs, hot team. I could see Green Bay potentially pulling that off.
Now, here's a question I have for you because we were talking about this like off air. I'm a commissioner of a bunch of leagues.
Yep.
I'm in the championship of my home league, and I was
Yeah.
going into Monday night up 18.5 half PPR points, and my opponent had Jamar Chase. We're gonna I think what we decided, we're just gonna use Week 18 points. What I was gonna ask, do you think Bengals and Bills 100% aren't going to rest starters?
I don't think they're going to rest starters. And worst case scenario, I would say you maybe have a plan B where, okay, like realistically, 18.5 half PPR is a reasonable figure for Jamar Chase. So, I mean, if it doesn't happen, if they rest starters, you could potentially organize, if they rest, this is the payout it would be hypothetically. So just have something in your back pocket in case the game doesn't really go according to plan. At least you guys have that plan ahead of time. So for me personally, again, it really varies by league. Like this is an unprecedented situation. Obviously, thoughts and prayers toward DeMar Hamlin and his family, but we've never faced a situation like this in fantasy. Like the closest thing would be COVID, but those games ended up being rescheduled anyways. Also, I think Patrick Mahomes
Yeah.
has to be the pick. Now thinking that this has to be a 2 quarterback build, but there's never been anything like this because even in COVID year, like we still had Tuesday games, we still had rescheduled games. We're not getting this game rescheduled. Like we're literally having teams in the playoffs this year with 1 less game played than the rest of the field.
In that first quarter, like the stats are getting wiped from the record books, like the official NFL stats and everything. Like that first quarter never happened.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy in terms of like how to. But yeah, in the leagues I commish, we're doing it that way. And if the Bengals or Bills rest their starters, it's just kind of the hand you were dealt. You know what I mean? I think it's better than just getting a straight up 0. You know what I mean? At least you're live that they get to play. You know what I mean? It seems like the most fair thing I can think of.
Yeah, sorry, I just audibly or visually gasped when I saw Kelsey get sniped, which was expected. But God,
good luck when they come back.
See, now we're in an interesting dilemma here because if AJ Brown falls, like I don't think you could build a team with both the 1 seeds.
I agree. I don't think you can either. Yeah, I think it's too tight. You'd have to go like Niners? 5 total or 6 total. No, it'd have to be like 5 total of both.
Yeah. Like, I think in this scenario, obviously, like, maybe Lamb's probably the top target, and then your fallback would have to be Debo and
I
McKinnon, I would
agree.
say.
I agree. I think that's exactly how I would be looking at it. I mean, yeah, it would be. Yeah, so you wanna go Lamb here and just run back what we just
Run it
did?
back, I guess. And this time we'll get Jarek instead of Pollard, hopefully, if we have the ability to.
We could
God, we
even
should
go, could even go, like, 49 like, 49ers and Cowboys wouldn't play, right?
technically, okay, if the Packers upset the Niners in the first round, obviously they wouldn't. If the Niners do win, though, regardless, the Cowboys shouldn't be playing against them because they would be the 2 seed. The Cowboys would either play actually, no, wait. That would only happen if the Vikings lost to the Giants. The 49ers would play the Cowboys. The Eagles would play against the Giants in that scenario. So
So, what do you wanna go? We can go Debo, McKinnon, or Pollard. I'm cool.
I would probably go McKinnon or Pollard. Because we went Pollard with the last one, I don't mind mixing into McKinnon.
I
Not to
kinda wanna
mention
go Pollard, dude. The thing is with these Chiefs running backs, like, I almost just want like, McKinnon's
the
so
cheapest one.
expensive now,
Yeah.
man.
I don't mind
Like,
that if you because you know the role of Pollard, and realistically, if both make it to your championship, who are you taking on a straight up non-spread type of bet? It's probably going to be Pollard.
and on top of that, McKinnon with the first seed, you're presumably not taking
Yeah.
his round. Like, I'd rather use an early pick on someone that I can use the points for now, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, I like it. Not to mention, I mean, we still realistically have a chance that McKinnon maybe falls back.
Yeah,
Like,
can have him fall back. You can
yeah.
go Clyde. You can go Pacheco. And go Ronald Jones. You can go
Question I have here: if we're operating under the assumption that Mahomes is going to be the 1 seed, are you thinking about taking a Dak on the turn if he falls?
100%. I
Yeah,
think I would take Dak like literally right here if he's there.
I think I'd agree with that as well.
I'm almost praying that he's there. If you want me to
McKinnon did
be
go.
completely honest, yeah, McKinnon went. Gabe, what
Yeah,
do we got? What do we got? You don't have a
Mr.
quarterback
Dak.
yet. What do you got,
Also,
brother?
uh,
There it
big
is.
side note: I've taken a couple 10th round Malik Davis darts on teams I don't
I've
get
seen
Tony
you do
Pollard.
that.
Yeah,
And what's the thought process there? Is like, would Pollard probably have to get hurt in that scenario?
yeah.
Or
So
see?
he's dealing with a thigh injury right now. Basically, the process there is Malik Davis. If anything were to happen to this, got to be Juju, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Um,
Juju as well.
if anything were to happen to Tony Pollard, you're getting the potential Cowboy space back. Obviously, we saw he looked pretty good against the Tennessee Titans, has some receiving chops, is at this point a
Cool
better
little player
athlete than
profiler on the
Isabella is.
boy.
So yeah, no, he's a fun little player. Little elusive back that can kind of
Mentioned
play
you
that
guys
role.
had Bo Scarborough.
God, man. That guy was just
Dude,
so stiff. Like,
yeah,
I
he
mean,
was very stiff. Dude, I remember watching like, we must have been pretty young at the time. Not pretty young, but you got, like, maybe 2017, the bowl game
yeah.
versus Washington, dude. He
Oh my
just
god.
absolutely ran all over Washington in that game, and I was like, "Oh
Dude,
my god, this is Derrick Henry."
no,
Like, "Oh my god,
it's
this is
so easy
him."
to describe him because he's like just the classic back that boomers love. Just
Oh,
this
yeah.
big, like Eddie George looking motherfucker, like
Dude, big, bro. Like 6'4", like 200.
245
Yeah.
pounds. Like, yeah,
So
freak.
I'm thinking Schultz.
I like
Schultz?
it. I like it. I like it.
Schultz, and then maybe even just Pacheco on the way back. Like, if it falls to us that way,
Yeah, and then
who am
that's the
I?
thing that I'm pretty interested in because obviously, again, like straight up, you're going to take McKinnon over Pacheco, I would say. However, given the current cost discrepancy, again, we just saw that McKinnon's basically going in the top 15 to 25 area. Pacheco at a 37, 38 type of ADP. I mean, realistically, you have a Chiefs team right now that, yes, McKinnon's getting a lot of inside the 5, inside the 10, targets, if you will. But how sustainable is that going to be? A, and B, when you're in a playoff setting, are we really going to be relying upon that type of offense to score? Or are we going to give it to our between the
He's gonna
tackles
pull
running
out
back?
his best tricks, man. If you have McCole Hardman healthy now, you have Kadarius Toney like finally kind of gelling in the offense. I think it's gonna be a lot more, spread around. You're gonna get, of course,
Yeah.
the freaking Kelsey look of the little motion
God.
shovel pass. Like,
The
there's gonna be
shovel.
14 of those.
Yeah, no, the little shovel pass is probably the most annoying. Like if you don't have Kelsey and you play against Kelsey and you see that shovel pass, especially when like if you've had a Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the past and the other guy's got Kelsey and that happens, like you just want to lose it.
Yeah,
I lost to a guy this year who had the Mahomes and McKinnon stack, and those legitimately had weeks of like 5 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns from McKinnon, and Patrick Mahomes going ballistic. Like,
What do we got? Somebody, Chris, saying any consideration intentionally unique teams, or is the field size not really big enough? I mean, the field size is pretty big. I know Danny was saying
Yeah.
the whole Malik Davis thesis is to kind of
Yeah.
get a lesser owned running back. So if you want to get leverage on the field, you can go with a Malik Davis. You can go with a like Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the Chiefs. You can kind of get, especially with the running backs, like that's where I would get really weird,
Funky.
like P
Like
Ryan.
Elijah Mitchell before he was
Yeah,
labeled back was a big target because
AJ
everybody's gonna be
Dillon.
drafting.
I honestly don't mind Naeem Hines if you're going Bills. I don't mind. I know he got a touchdown a couple weeks ago. Maybe he scores a touchdown somewhere. You
A
know.
little bit of Alexander Madison just to fully
Yeah,
go against my
Madison's
hate on
not bad
Dalvin
at
Cook.
all.
Yeah.
Madison's not bad at all. Gus Edwards isn't bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting opportunities this year. I
Dude,
would
you could
say
get weird with Jordan Mason if you want, man. You can
oh
get
yeah,
weird.
get weird with like
Kenyon Drake isn't terrible either.
some nice Samaje Perine, baby.
Kyle Juszczyk, if you want to get a Kyle Juszczyk in there.
Dude, talking about
I'm
mid running
saying
backs is so much fun when you just don't have to worry about drafting them high.
I agree. Do you want to go Tony or Gallup?
I think you probably go Gallup just to have that week one. Not to mention, I think he's just the better player.
I agree. Now,
That's
if this guy
what
leaves Tony on the board, we just go Tony here. I mean,
scoop it,
what?
yeah. Just
1,
gotta scoop it.
2, 3. We'd be at 4 KC, and I think that works.
Yeah, oh yeah, and we have what 4 Cowboys right now, so
Yeah,
we could probably
and we could
after
do another
this.
one-off running back if we
Do,
want.
do we have 5 Cowboys? Did I miscount? 1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
4,
Yeah,
5. We have 5 Cowboys, so
so we'll be at 5 and 4.
5 and 4, and then I mean, if we want, because we have 4 Chiefs, we get one off just to advance us through the first round. I don't mind mixing that in. Probably at running back, given the fact that
100%.
we have 2 right now. ETN would make a lot of sense because obviously the Chiefs wouldn't play the Jaguars until the last round. So if he could potentially fall back, that would be a slam dunk.
I agree. We could go ETN and then maybe instead try and catch a falling McColl, but what do you think? You think Kadarius hope for like ETN or one of these other guys, or should we go ETN and then just get whatever's left in terms of Tony, Valdez-Scantling?
I would
McColl?
probably lean on that one simply because Marquez Valdez-Scantling catching some random 47-yard touchdown in the divisional round just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. And I think McColl and Tony is a coin flip, not 44 ADP versus 57 ADP.
I'd agree with that because I mean we did see when McColl was healthy, he actually occupied that role, and I feel like that's
crazy, man. People are like, I don't even like McColl, dude, but there was a stretch where he was going crazy.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean,
Maybe,
McColl Hardman.
I'm over exact. It was 12, 12, 28, 19.9, then an injury. But I mean, he was doing well for 4 weeks.
That's like a top 8 wide receiver.
Yeah, for McColl, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and how many were touchdowns? Like 4 or 5 in that stretch?
Yeah. I think 3 touchdowns over that 4-game stretch.
What
do you think, McColl or MVS? Like I think I prefer McColl to MVS.
I'll let you make the choice, man. I'll let you make.
All right, let's go McColl. Let's go McColl. Dude, MVS is just so boring to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just reading Matt at the bottom. Seriously, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, and Cowboys will lose first round. Wake up, Cowboys will lose.
Oh my God, come on, dude.
I mean, yes, it is scary, and as a Cowboys fan, you kind of have to basically convince yourself that they're going to lose in the first round. The reason being, anytime that you convince yourself otherwise, it kind of just leads to, a feeling of despair, a feeling of regret in a sense. Yeah, it's tough being a Cowboys fan. However, I mean, we have to acknowledge that this is easily one of the top 3 teams in the conference. They're a really complete team, both defensively and offensively. Obviously, defense has been a little bit lackluster in the past few games, but if you think any team is going to look perfect going into the playoffs, you have a rude awakening. Eagles have lost the last 2 games, have looked really, really mortal, if you will, after starting 13-1. 49ers, we know, don't have a quarterback. The NFC's up for the taking, like easily.
Yo, Brock's pocket watching over here. Brock, come on now.
He's taking a little quick peek,
A little pocket watching. Come on now.
I respect it. Hey, I would have a couple K on my account if I didn't have to spend it every time I was in Buffalo.
I mean, that's just everything that rolled in from the season on BBM. Then you also have a nice little battle royale payday. I mean, you just gotta let it sit there. I mean, it's a little federal that they're showing that I can't block that.
if they're just gonna give us another Josh Allen team, they may as well hand it to us.
Yeah, come on now. I will say somebody was saying, who was saying in here, uh, damn it, dude. I saw somebody was saying like, oh yeah, Bengals Dallas. Have you done a Bengals Dallas team? I've not done a
that's a
Bengals
fun
Dallas team, but I
draft.
would love to. I would love to. I haven't had the the configuration there.
I've been experimenting like when it like obviously when I was in Buffalo with some Chase Lamb starts, which is like just feels like absolute sex. I'm not gonna lie, it feels like just hitting the nuts, and then wrapping around with getting
Yo.
Dak in the 4th round. And if you're able to get a Tony Pollard, T. Higgins, or Joe Mixon on the way, God, those
Oh
are
yeah.
such a fucking nice look afterwards. Uh
Am Nick Cheap trying to get in here?
Oh yeah, let's go. In terms of Matt, look at the NFC East. That was hilarious. Hurts is out. Come on. Yeah, no, I mean, like it is fair to say that Hurts was out. However, Hurts wasn't playing defense when we put up 40 points on the Eagles defense. Not to mention we lost to them with Cooper Rush at quarterback, and it was a 23-17 game. Lamb is wide open down the field, and Cooper Rush connects there. Like you're looking at a potential Cowboys
Oh yeah,
upset
man.
in Philadelphia that week. So I do think like people just are completely on Philadelphia, and validly so. They have a talented roster. I do think that them, the Cowboys, in terms
They're
of
not hot right now though, man. They're not hot. They're not
and,
peaking at the right time. They
and
were
that would be my
rolling.
point.
They
Yeah,
were rolling. They're not rolling right now, is all I'll say. I don't think it's a dude, I think it's a toss-up. Let me see these
I
538
do.
odds real quick on the Super Bowl, dude.
I like.
24% for Chiefs, 19% for Bills, 17% for Eagles, and 12% for Cowboys. I think it's
Yeah,
probably fair. I
yeah,
think
I
it's
would say so
probably
too.
about right. I probably have the ball at like 20%, to be honest with you. I probably, yeah.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, like, it's tough predicting the NFC this year because I do think like people are, gonna have their jokes about Dak, but this guy's literally third in EPA since coming back. Like he's been absolutely phenomenal.
Been amazing.
Yes, the
This is a great point
turnovers.
too, man.
That is very true because the in terms of the Eagles, they did lose Lane Johnson and Josh Sweat in the last 2 weeks. Josh Sweat overall, I think he has 11 sacks this year, consistent pressure, easily a top 2 edge on that team, and Lane Johnson is probably the best right tackle in the entire NFL. So, it's gonna be tough without him. Not to mention if the Cowboys pass rush can start getting clicking again. Only 3 sacks in the last 3 games, but over 50 on the season. They showed when they're on their game, they can dominate games. It's about getting back there. The NFL is a long season. Like you're not going to look like this undefeated team, this unbeatable team every week. Like you're going to have weeks where you struggle. You're going to have weeks where you look like you have weakness. It's just a matter of what team can get hot, what, factors on a team, position groups can really figure it out by playoff time. So I do think this is probably the most ambiguous field in the NFL we've seen in a while because we don't have the old quarterbacks, if you will, reigning supremacy on each conference.
I agree. I'm
We
not
are
sure what we're
almost back on
doing
the clock.
here.
So we got to what? Josh Allen. I mean, uh, can we?
Could go Jefferson.
I kind of hope he just gets sniped so we don't eye it again. But I don't mind mixing in if you want to go with a Jefferson team. Uh, because if we get
Take
CeeDee Lamb
Lamb,
3 in a
bro.
row, yeah,
Okay, there
thank
we
you.
go.
Like I didn't want to be accused. Oh, this biased Cowboys fan is just taking all Cowboys. Like, no, man.
What do you think, Jefferson? Like,
I like
should we go
Jeff.
Jefferson and Smith and get some like Eagles mixed in there? I don't know if we want
I
to take
don't.
on that bye.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind. So I think Jefferson for sure you queue up. Gabe Davis just I'm not taking at 13 overall. I don't care if
I
it's Dak
agree.
and Flood. Like he's just not much of a difference
Let's
maker
go.
at
Let's
that
go
spot.
Devonta and kind of see what that looks like, and we'll sort of go Bills into like Eagles, Vikings, and see if we can kind of keep it clean.
I like it. Obviously with the Bills not getting the 1 seed now, it's tough to take Bengals with them. Otherwise, a T Higgins would look fine there. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's obviously tough taking Bengals at this current point when you have Bills already built up. Mixon Owenton. We gotta get Trenton Irwin like next draft or whatever. Just get
yeah.
a nice Trenton Irwin.
But he had like a 2 touchdown game the other day.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess that's kind of what you get with T Higgins and chasing outside.
Appreciate that, Matt. Unfortunately for me, I was not old enough quite yet to experience that Super Bowl win or the Super Bowl dynasty we had. Being born in 2000 and being a Cowboys fan, you've only really experienced letdown, to be honest.
Yeah, let down, but
Hopefully,
you guys got some great years to look back at though. It is
Hopefully,
tough though. It is tough though because I will say like for as much as I suffer as a Jets fan and it absolutely sucks, like
at least
we've
like you've
had
known, you know what I
we've had deeper playoff runs than a lot of teams. You know what I mean? Over that like 20-year stretch, like
back
Sanchez going to the AFC
back to
Championship
back.
twice is crazy, dude.
No,
Crazy, dude.
it's
Give that
really
team Dak
remarkable.
Prescott, and we have 2 rings, dude. Give that team
Bro,
Dak Prescott, we have two
try
rings.
telling that to 90, like so many in the Cowboys fan base. And I feel like it's like, again, like people are so
Give me Matt Ryan
spoiled.
or Flacco, bro. I have a ring, dude.
Well, people are so spoiled with the
I
fact that like,
agree, dude. It's
oh,
crazy.
we're
Romo as well, dude. Romo was sick, and you could say what you want about Romo, dude. And a lot of guys will say, "Oh, Romo was ass" or whatever. He didn't do anything in the playoffs, dude. Romo was sick, bro.
he was nasty, man. He
Romo
was
was
nasty.
great, dude. Some
Uh,
of the best all-time
well,
games, dude. He's over there with like fucking
it's
14 cracked ribs, and he's slinging it, dude. Like he
oh,
was amazing.
2011 against the Niners. Yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah, against the Niners, dude. He's
Dude,
great, man.
I'm
And
telling you,
dude, these
man.
last 2 quarterbacks you guys have gone weren't even like top 5. Like there was no
Undrafted in
bust.
fourth.
There was undrafted in fourth. Dude, to get those 2 quarterbacks with day 3 or less
Yeah.
draft capital is insane stroke of luck, dude.
Well,
Back
like
to back like that.
if we're being realistic, the Cowboys have legitimately had 2 of like the 15 best quarterbacks since 2000. Like you could
Yeah.
probably make that case 15 or 20
Yep.
off my head. And yeah, like you've had 1 seed teams, you've had teams that have had opportunity. I feel like yes, like don't get me wrong, they should have done more with a lot of the opportunities they had. Also, I think Gabe Davis and
I think it's
Singletary is a turn here.
Gabe Singletary.
Gabe
I like
Singletary
it.
makes sense. But if you're looking at this team realistically, like, yeah, like it's tough to win in the NFL. Of course, this team should have made an NFC championship by now, but realistically, like 2014, you run into the Packers, debatably could have won that game. I'm not going to get into the catch or no catch shit right now, but that's a very, very close game on the road against the Green
Yeah,
Bay
man.
Packers, a team
It's
that
tough,
actually
man.
should have made the Super Bowl that year. Were one onside kick dropped away from making the Super Bowl. So shout out Green Bay for fumbling the bag against Seattle, and then Seattle for fumbling the bag against
Those are
the
two
Patriots
those
that
are
year.
2 legit dynasties you guys were existing at the time where you had Legion
Yeah.
of Boom, which was an insane dynasty, and then you also had Aaron Rodgers during his entire prime and peak.
Oh yeah, no, it's Aaron Rodgers. Spoiled me one too many times in the playoffs. 2016 too was just ridiculous because the Cowboys got off to like a 20. I want to say it was 21-3 or 28-10 that they were down against Green Bay at home. Dak Prescott's first career playoff game. Battle back to the point where it's a 31-31 tie game, and then Aaron Rodgers pulls some magic. Jared Cook toe tap. Mason crossbar. It's going like fucking so far wide out and then suddenly curls back in for the game winning field goal. That's like the type of juju I've just experienced in my life. Not to mention the Rams game, 3rd and 7, fourth quarter. You make a comeback against the Rams the year they made the Super Bowl, and Jared Goff runs for the game winning first down on you on a 3rd and 7. Like, are we for real? So it's been tough. I'll tell you that right
I
now.
love that year though, man. Like it's so impressive to have a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back kind of lead you guys to like what was it a 1 seed at that
13 and
year?
3 or
13 and
13 and
3,
3 first
dude.
seed.
You
I
could
think
dude, you could make the case for Dak at like MVP that year
I think we
as a
would have beat
rookie.
I think we would have beaten the Falcons if we played them. It's just, man, like
We think
it's
Knox here?
I would say Knox. We don't have Cowboys.
Knox
Otherwise, I was gonna say
Hawkinson?
Schultz. Knox Hawkinson sounds fun.
Does that mean we already have Singletary? We don't really need Cook. Let's go Hawkinson.
This might be an Alexander Madison team. We might need.
This is definitely an Alexander Madison team.
I do think we need 2 more running backs if that's the case. Maybe 3.
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah,
we'll
I
mix that
agree.
in. You killing me, Cook. Yeah. Man, it's we can open up about that stuff because I mean, realistically, as we know in the NFL, it's tough to win, and I've
Tom
had the
Brady
chance to win,
dribbled the Jets off the concrete for 15 straight years, dude.
bro.
It was caused by us, dude. Jonathan Vilma was caused by us, dude. We never hit Drew Bledsoe into
Also, you guys
next
traded
week.
them. You guys traded them Belichick.
Yeah, traded them Belichick, which is hilarious, dude. Belichick was literally supposed to coach for us, and he was just like, nah.
No, that's remarkable looking back on it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how Tom Brady has legitimately won as many rings as any franchise in the NFL. Like more rings
Crazy,
than
dude.
any franchise in the
Those
NFL.
Patriots fans are spoiled too, bro. They deserve an eternity of nothing.
They deserve another 10 straight Mac Joneses.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
Keep drafting Mac Joneses, dude.
Well, I genuinely feel like, having a Mac Jones and like committing to him for like 5 years probably puts you in a worse spot than just like hoping out for like a legitimate franchise quarterback.
What do you think? Like, do you think that the Jets should have any regret right now that they let Sam Darnold walk?
No,
I agree.
no.
I agree. I don't give a
He
damn what he looks like in Carolina.
like cool. Like he looks like maybe the 23rd best quarterback in the NFL, which would be an upgrade for you guys. Big fucking deal. The thing that is the problem, and again, like I don't want to like reminisce some bad times here, but you had a legitimate potential top 10 quarterback. You had the chance. It's just as we know with the NFL draft, sometimes we think we know everything, and these teams think they know everything, but variance happens, man.
So
And
tough, man.
like, yeah, like on paper for me, I preferred Fields to Wilson, but could we have looked back from the draft 3 years after and said, "Oh yeah, Wilson's the 5th
But
best
no one thought it
quarterback
was
in the NFL"?
egregious. You know what I mean? Like
No.
we saw with my understanding was we just saw Justin Herbert, who by no means was a great like analytical prospect or any like you know what I mean. Nobody was in love with Herbert. He was just like, okay, someone take him top 10, and that's it. That was my vibes of Zach Wilson. It's like I'm not completely sold, but I mean, like he at least looks like a top 10, top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Like it's a shit show, anyways. Like Josh Allen as well. Nobody thought Josh Allen was going to be good. Same thing with Justin Herbert. So it's just like, you
Eh,
just hope that the ping pong balls fall your way kind of thing.
man, I know we were talking about this earlier on our stream, but I'm enamored to see where Anthony Richardson goes. Because like if you're gonna talk about a guy that could have that level of ascension, it would be Anthony Richardson. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but like the situation he was in, SEC competition. Obviously, we had our chance with Malik last year, but if Anthony Richardson does get that first round capital, I mean, you'd be foolish not to take chances on him, especially in Dynasty, because realistically, if there's anybody going to have a pathing to top 5, top 8 overall pick status in startups, it would be him.
Dude, I'm saying Fournette here. What do you think about Fournette?
I don't mind it. We don't have any Cowboys.
We
We
need
can mix in.
NFC.
We don't have any
We're kind
Cowboys,
of
so
yeah, we've kind of screwed up the NFC side. I think we need Fournette there. We kind of just need more running backs too. Should we
is
go?
Madison available?
Yeah, he's
Or is that,
available. I think we could wait
we can
on
wait till our last
Madison.
round? Just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
We can wait on Madison. We can go with like
An
I
ETN
don't think
maybe.
yeah. I say let's go ETN and then we'll see if we can get Madison at that last pick.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm up with that.
Yeah, this isn't as clean as we've been drafting these, but I think that it'll still
I
be
I mean, we still have a lot of starting options for the Super Bowl. Hypothetically, here
yeah.
we're mapping out Vikings versus Bills. We get Madison there. You're going to have a quarterback. You're going to have 2 running backs, and then you're going to have potentially what is that, like 5 or 6 receiving options. So
Yeah.
I did think we're fine here.
A lot of people hated Herbert pre-draft, dude. A lot of people hated Herbert. They'll tell you otherwise. They'll tell you otherwise. A lot of people did not like Herbert coming out.
Well, it was fascinating because he was always the potential talent versus college scheme argument, right? Because I mean, you did see flashes of brilliance. You saw flashes of quite literally the football robot that Justin Herbert is right now. I don't even know how to describe him, right? Like he's such a good processor with such good physical tools. Like he has, like he's a
I
freak.
feel like
He's an
coming out,
alien.
his arm strength and arm talent wasn't as like hyped up as it could have been. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that he had the same like this guy Josh Allen. You got to see him in shorts. Got to see him throw the ball
It's
65
because of the
yards.
offense. It's because of the
Yeah,
offense. He wasn't asked to do a lot of high pressure
it
throws.
felt like coming out like yes, he's big and it felt like more he was big and fast. Like now like him Allen Herbert or him
Him,
Allen Mahomes have like
Mahomes.
the best arm talent in the league. Like I
Yeah.
feel like coming in it wasn't so much like
Well,
Herbert can make any throw on the field and like
like,
people were talking about Zach Wilson or whatever. Like it didn't feel that same way.
what baffles me about the whole Herbert discourse now is obviously I agree. Like he was a flawed prospect. I thought that him and Jordan Love were pretty comparable, and obviously that hasn't aged too well. Although maybe Packers Jordan Love era starting next year could look potentially good. He's got some
Looked
good
good
run
in
in
his
this year,
like
but
little start or maybe not start, but his game that he played
looks, yeah,
looked okay.
100%. By the way, getting a nice little textured Madison in the final round for a team that people are already reluctant to stack is pretty nice
I agree.
against the field. Yeah, we're looking
Let's
good
run
there.
up one more.
I'm down.
We'll go one
I'm
more.
down. Get a solid 4-on-4 in each stream. So yeah, let's do it.
We'll see how that shakes out.
Yes, sir. Will Levis is a Lion. That could be interesting, honestly. Will Levis on the Lions. I do think that I would agree that even CJ Stroud fell to the Lions, I don't think they would pull the trigger simply
Really?
because the reason why is
Goff is good, man.
Jared Goff is a good quarterback. He's not exceptional. He's not a franchise quarterback, but he's Kirk Cousins.
The
Like
perfect bridge. You know what I mean? The
right.
perfect like Alex Smith before you bring in your Mahomes.
Exactly. So I do think like if you are drafting a quarterback, I want one with the tools to be able to potentially be, that next elite level quarterback. And I think CJ Stroud could get there on his processing, could get there on his accuracy, his timing, his structure in the pocket. But realistically, if you already kind of have, a let's say B version of what Stroud could potentially become, I would rather just take the guy with the tools and potentially swing for the home run.
I was gonna say, dude, you were talking about like somewhere for Anthony Richardson to go, and I know it's a pipe dream, dude. Like if we do go the car route or this like Jimmy G, the boring route, I say we go Mahomes, obviously, right?
Yes, yes. A lot of
I'm
one-on-ones and
down.
twos.
Yeah, dude. I'm down. Like for the Jets, I'm down to spend the first on Anthony Richardson and
That
let
would be
him
hype.
little bridge QB
Oh,
action.
could you imagine him in that LaFleur offense, man? That would be awesome.
I
That'd be
would love
fucking
it, man.
awesome.
I would love it, dude. I don't know where our first round pick is gonna end up, dude, but wherever it's at, I'm completely fine taking A Rich there. Like,
Well,
not as like QB1 from week one, but and I imagine we'd have our first left over if we don't. Like, I imagine if we get Rodgers, we have to give up our first. I imagine if we get Lamar, maybe, but if we get Lamar, then I don't want A Rich at that point. At that point, Lamar's my guy.
yeah.
But that's
Well,
obviously like the 1.1% outcome.
it would be pretty interesting if you're thinking about it, right? Because I mean, with Anthony Richardson, maybe you bring in a Jimmy Garoppolo as like the bridge
Perfect, dude.
quarterback, and
Literally,
it's just Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo all over again with Anthony Richardson in terms of
literally.
big, toolsy, athletic prospect, really sitting behind that natured vet, if you will, with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that could be fun.
I think that's the answer. Like I've tweeted about it before, but I think you get your bridge QB if it can't be Lamar or Rodgers, of course. You get your bridge QB and you just keep taking swings and you hope for your Hurts or you hope for your Dak, whether that's on, late mid to late first round, second round, third round. And I will say, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy at the time. Like I wasn't as high on Hurts as I am now, but it's like, man, looking back, it's like, dude, like
Yeah.
he was a very strong product. Like in terms of like QBR, everything I look at, he looked amazing, mobile, big arm,
Well,
played, Bama football. Are we saying Dallas here
I'll
again?
let
Do we
you
go
make the
Dallas
choice because if I
Chiefs?
say it, I'll let you choose this one.
Has to be Lamb. It has to be Lamb. There's nothing else there that I like.
What's so funny is on our stream, we basically drafted exclusively Eagle stacks, and on your stream, we're drafting basically exclusively Cowboy
Look, man, if they're gonna
stacks.
keep giving us the 102 and then not give us Kelsey on the way back, dude, like there's nothing. And then I guess we go McKinnon here. We haven't taken McKinnon yet, so let's go
I'm down.
McKinnon.
That's actually, yeah, I'm down with McKinnon. That's actually so facts though. The fact that like we've gotten like the 102 so many times and we haven't gotten Kelsey to fall once.
Literally, if you're not gonna give us Kelsey there, then it just has to be Lamb. I'm sorry, but it
Yeah,
has to be Lamb.
100%. Um, looking at this now, obviously we're building. Chiefs going to be tough because we're going to have to build out for the first round a little bit more than we would
Yep,
anticipate prior. So could consider a Dak if he falls back. Obviously,
Dak
you
would be
know,
perfect.
maybe a Dalton Schultz, though we're getting him like every draft. But I mean, I feel like he's just such a good value at this current point going where he's going because he's probably right now like pretty easily the second most established option in that Dallas passing attack given the Gallup struggles.
100%. And he's right in there in this range where it's like Mike Williams isn't on a contending piece, neither is Godwin, and like this is just a crazy cohort to have Dalton Schultz next to. Like I'll take Dalton Schultz here every time.
100%.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
like
Every time these playoff best balls come around, I become a Dallas fan. I'm just like
they're
people.
so easy to
I
stack.
I do think it's people do have a little bit of a stigma with them. Like it does seem like they do
100%.
fall a little bit. It's like, oh, they're the Cowboys or whatever. It's like, dude,
And like
they have the fourth best Super Bowl odds, man.
no, and I agree with that. And it's funny to me.
Dak here?
Yeah, 100%. Maybe Juju if he falls back, but if he doesn't, you just go with like a
Yeah, I
Schultz
would love
type or
Zeke
Zeke.
too.
Oh,
Zeke.
Zeke's there. Okay, I like that.
I'll take Zeke over Juju, man.
But talking about Dallas, the disconnect I have, right, is so you see, we'll make our pick and then I'll basically explain myself. I'll let you
Zeke?
make this. Yeah,
Go
go
Zeke,
for it.
dude. I don't even love Juju
Uh,
that much.
so Prescott obviously going off the board at 23rd overall. It's weird to me that the difference between him and Purdy is less than like the difference between him and the tier 1
I think the difference
quarterbacks.
between him and Burrow is pretty crazy, man. If we're gonna start
That's the
taking
one I was
Burrow at
pointing
like
to.
6th overall, man, like it's the same. The Cowboys have a better in Dak doesn't have to cut through Josh Allen and Mahomes to get there, man.
It needs to cut
Yeah,
through Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy as like the next two prominent teams in the conference. Like again, maybe this is a hot take because a lot of people are really stuck in recency bias, but like out of the top teams in the NFC, like I'm trusting Dak over Hurts and Purdy easily in the playoffs, given what we've seen.
Hurts is a tough one, man. Hurts is a tough one because
It's
we
tough
haven't seen him in
because of
a
the season.
big
Yes,
game yet. Or I mean, we've seen him in big regular season games, but we haven't seen him in like a
one
playoff
playoff
game.
game.
I'd like to see what that looks like
Yeah, 100%.
because he could
It,
implode. I think this is probably Juju if he's there. Yeah, let's go
eh,
Juju. 10 picks past ADP.
yeah, easy take there. Also, Niners comment is basically the reason why Cowboys are so deflated in ADP.
Yeah, literally. Cowgirls are trash. That's what everyone says.
That's what everyone says, and that's why you're getting Dak at 23 overall.
Whack trash guy is a cloud.
God, are we doing this right now?
Getting Ty a ring.
Yeah, well, I
In
hope
the
we get
Cowboy
Ty
Super
a
Bowl.
nice little ring.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That'd be nice.
All right, so what
Right.
are we doing here? I mean, we could reach on Gallup, or we could do like a. Could we do like a
I don't mind mixing in a one-off here potentially. Maybe
what?
I like Mike Williams because basically there, although they would play in the second round, which kind of sucks.
You want to go
Uh,
Andrews then?
or Knox.
Let's go. Let's go Knox. Let's do
I'm
that.
down with it.
I haven't really paired like two contenders like that this
Basically,
late in a draft, but I think it's a great move.
because basically you're almost ensuring like if you hit the nuts that's going to be the AFC Championship.
Yep.
And in terms of implied value, like yeah, if Dawson Knox bows out, but he gives you a 5-catch, 64-yard, 2-touchdown performance in the AFC Championship, you're going to have leverage on the field.
And because we have so much Dallas, like we could maybe even back our way into like a Dallas Buffalo Super Bowl.
100%, exactly. It gives you a lot more options there. Not to mention, big shout out to Mr. T.Y. Hilton could be a potential mix in at the end.
No, we could mix in TY. I don't think I have a TY team yet.
Wait, by the way, Brock's comment reminds me of something that's funny. Is I always see these YouTube shorts or like TikToks, and it's like get whatever player a ring, and it's like we could be doing that if we take Ty at the end, and it's like this is the get him a ring squad for the playoff festival.
TY is hilarious, man. I didn't even know that he was still warming up and taking workouts, and
Yo.
I thought it was done.
I just remember getting laughed off the fucking stream when I mentioned, I'm like, yo, we can mix in a late TY in some of our drafts. And Bush is just like, are you kidding me? He's so washed. That's such a waste of a pick. And like 2 weeks in a row, he's made some big
third
plays.
and 30 play, man, is fucking beautiful, man. Just
Oh.
from Dak too, dude. Dak put so much
good.
on that, bro. Dak, like, he led him like 60 yards downfield, dude.
Dude, have you looked into Dak's third down EPA this year? It's like insane. Like,
what do you want to do here? We got nothing. I mean, we can go Andrews, can go ETN.
Could mix in our one-offs. Could try to stack here. Gallup's already gone, I'm assuming. I think you mix in probably a one-off here, and then you end off with
ETN or
a
Andrews.
Cowboy. ETN.
Oh,
that works.
Good. I went Andrews.
Reason why I said ETN is because we already have our we only have 2 running backs, and typically
right.
we'd get the third there to complete it. But I mean, realistically, we have Jerick McKinnon right now. Like hypothetically, do we want to play this as if
I kind of like going with like a Clyde or something in the last round, maybe?
Well, that's what I was gonna mention. To get a little bit texture here, we can make a team as if
should we go TY here?
Yeah, we can mix in a TY and Hilaire, I would say.
Let's go TY Hilaire and kind of
I'll spice it up.
Sort of see what that looks like.
In terms of the running backs, though, basically if you get Clyde Edwards-Hilaire there, that would be playing the field as if Isaiah Pacheco missed any time. Theoretically, Isaiah Pacheco getting hurt, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire filling in that between the tackles type of role for the team.
100%.
Thus, we're getting a 2-man committee with McKinnon and Hilaire in that instance.
Which would be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It even kind of gets home if McKinnon gets hurt. I mean, you don't want that, but there are a couple different outs for him to get in there. That would be.
100.
I mean, what if Pacheco would probably be like the grinder, and then you'd have Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of take on that McKinnon role, which would be pretty interesting.
That would be the inverse, right? And of course, in ours, like Hilaire thicker back than Pacheco or than McKinnon, if you will. So if anything were to happen to Pacheco, you could potentially use Clyde as that between the tackles guy, unless they just want to activate Melvin Gordon, which at this point, I don't think that guy's going to touch an NFL field for the rest of the year. But then again, we said that about Jerick McKinnon last playoffs.
Ty has such a good match with Dak. He's a very smart wide
Big
receiver.
facts.
Thrived with a smart quarterback like that, like Luck.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Why do the Chargers have such low playoff odds? I get that they have to go through the Chiefs and then probably one of the Bills or Bengals, but I think football games between two teams usually go toss up. Yeah, no, and I would give the Chargers a fighting chance because they have the level of quarterback to be able to compete with those teams. I don't know. I think the Chargers kind of get a similar kind of feeling like the Cowboys do, where you think like, they got the
Staley gets in his own way a lot, man.
Well, because I feel like the Chargers are basically the Cowboys of the NFC in the sense that they've had strong teams. They've looked like potential strong playoff teams in the past and ultimately have just come short. So I would agree that the Chargers are one of the interesting teams that if one of the three weren't to make it out of the AFC, I think it would come down to the Chargers or the Jaguars personally, which oddly enough is their first round matchup.
100%. And the Jets actually bounced a Chargers team en route to one of my favorite plays, actually. My favorite plays, which is hilarious to say this, but it's I want to say maybe the wild card or divisional round with those Jets teams and Sanchez and Revis. It was like Revis against Vincent Jackson, and there was this play where Revis like caught it off of like Vincent Jackson's foot. Like they were like he was shutting them down all game, and it like sort of like bounced in the air off of like Vincent Jackson's foot, and he came down with it.
Like I'm looking at the game. I'm looking at the playoffs now. So you guys lost to the Colts, obviously, in the first AFC Championship. Did you guys beat them the following year, right, in the divisional? I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. I think
it was like 17-16, if I want to say off my head. Searching it now.
Right.
That was in the wild card, and then you somehow beat the 1 seed New England. Okay.
Dude, being the 1 seed New England in the divisional round at Gillette Stadium too, bro. And then the Bart Scott can't wait speech came after that game, which is just the best.
And don't get me started with Bart Scott. This guy is like the worst fucking analyst I've ever. Bart Scott and Shady
My mom
McCoy.
met Bart Scott.
Dude,
at my little brother was playing football, and he was actually coaching the because he lives in Jersey. He was like the defensive coordinator for this like Pee-wee team, and she was doing the chain gang on the sideline and was just like having banter with him. And I talked to her after. I was like, "Do you know that that's Bart Scott, like NFL linebacker?" And she was just like, "No, it was just a nice guy I was talking to."
Wait, your mom?
Yeah, my mom. Because she was doing like the chain gang where she
was
like,
God, that's
moving
hilarious.
the first down marker with him or whatever.
Dude, that guy as an analyst though is literally like talking to a wall. That guy,
he's bad.
Dude, don't get me started with Shady McCoy. Have you seen like the show with him and the Hellman? Bro, this guy on a video literally is like, Dak is ass, man.
Yeah, I saw him say that.
And then Hellman was like, well, did you know like his EPA and this is bringing up stats? He's like, I don't need those stats. I use the eye test. And I'm like,
dude, you ever seen the clip of him on like that one podcast? He's like, crazy work.
I was giving crazy work, man.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I think like somebody
he's
asked,
a true Philly guy too, which I do love about Shady McCoy. He is a nut for sure, but like I think he went to a Pennsylvania high school. You play at Pitt and then get drafted to the Eagles. I
think so.
He's a Philly guy through and through.
I believe he did go to Pitt. Let me just double check. Yeah, no, he definitely went to Pitt. Now that I think about it. Yeah, came from Pennsylvania, went to Pitt. Yeah, it makes sense why he's as biased as he is, but it's so funny because there was one in particular where I guess when Dak made the 3rd and 30 throw, and basically Hellman was like, I watched him complete that with my eyes, Shady. Bro.
So congrats on the top 5. Thank you, brother. Little 5th place. Never hurt nobody.
No cap. When I first read that, I was like, wait, like, did you predict the top 5 teams in the NFC, right? Like, what's going on here?
Never, bro. Real football, dude. I don't even know
Facts,
who's playing on defense, dude. Mika
dude.
Parsons? Who the hell is Mika Parsons, dude?
Yo, there's Eagles fans right now that are like tweeting these things out of how Hassan Reddick had more sacks than Micah
Oh,
Parsons.
come on. I will
Therefore,
say, dude, I loved, and this is like a little small detail, but I did love this, dude. If you were watching of course you were watching it, but the Eagles Cowboys game, Mika Parsons was done. Like he was dogged on that last drive, dude. And you could see like he's calling
man,
for a timeout. He's
so
like, dude,
tired.
please call a fucking timeout. And you could tell like he's
Dude,
lighted up like he's had to go dog this rep, and then they call a timeout for him, thankfully. But
he's been so worn out these last couple weeks. Again, he still played well. People just look at the sacks and be like, "Oh, my bad, he hasn't had a sack in a few games." Like, dude, like he's still getting consistent pressure. It's just like he's genuinely gassed right
I
now. Like
find the
he
craziest
needs
part too, bro, is coming into the league like if people knew he could rush the passer, he would have been like a top 5 pick. Like, of course, he did rush the
100%
passer in school, but he coming into the league, he was projected to be like a
off ball.
off-ball linebacker. Could use him in that, could have a package for him to rush the passer. But it seems like now that's his main alignment, right? Of just like
Yeah,
he's rushing the
he's
passer every play.
he's
And
basically a full-time edge.
he could probably be one of the best off-ball linebackers in the NFL as well if he wanted to.
Oh, well, I mean, the way I look at it is you have an athlete that's legitimately 250 pounds that can run a 4.36 and is that technically gifted as a rusher. Like, why would you ever play him off the ball? Just
Yeah,
have
I
him on
agree.
the ball, let him fucking pin his ears back. You have arguably one of the best edge rotations in the entire NFL. You have DeMarcus Lawrence, you have Micah Parsons, you have Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams has showed some flashes this year. Dante Fowler, like the Cowboys defensive line has insane depth. The problem is if Jonathan Hankins is hurt on the interior defensive line, they don't really have that stout interior run stuffer, if you will. Because as much as I love Neville Gallimore, shout out Ottawa boy, he's really, really struggled comparative to the expectations we had from him
I think
coming
he's out
in.
of
And
Oklahoma, Neville Gallimore.
yeah, freak athlete, by the way, like a legitimate 290 pounder that's running a 4.79 official. Like that's insanity. 290 pounds clocking sub 4.8 makes no sense.
You probably had to hate that Taco Charlton didn't work out, or Charlton.
Oh
I
man,
thought he
like
was gonna be pretty good.
you know, and I didn't mind him. Like I when we made the pick, I was like, let's go. Like I was happy with it because I wanted an edge. Obviously, looking back on it, TJ Watt would have been incredible, incredible. But the real thing that really makes me sick, to be honest, was I still remember the 2016 draft. I was 16 years old. I was getting ready for the draft. All offseason, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go with Jalen Ramsey in the first round and Derrick Henry in the second round.
Oh.
That's what I was praying for. I wanted Jalen Ramsey in the first round and Derrick Henry in the second round. And I mean, like, get it.
Got
Like,
Dak. Got
yeah,
Dak.
I wouldn't trade the draft in for the world if we didn't get drafted in my scenario, because realistically, Dak is not even only the surefire number one in that class, 101 in that class, but like legitimately is so far clear as the number one player in that class. It's not even close.
Is Ramsey still is Ramsey still good? Is he even still like something that's pretty crazy to me is it seems like in like I don't want to, I'll toot Darrelle Revis's horn all day, but it's like I feel like since Darrelle Revis, there hasn't been a guy that just like man to man just like locks people up year in, year
Ramsey
out.
would be the closest. He's been a little bit off this year, but
Before that
realistically,
was pretty damn good.
yeah,
But
I mean, he's still talent wise easily a top corner. Not to mention not a lot of motivation playing on that shit Rams team this year.
100%.
He's actually somebody that I floated around and I'm like, yo, if the Rams are seriously considering a retool and they want to offload some of their contracts, I would be fully for maybe floating out, 1 and 2 to potentially get Ramsey off that team. Because
Yeah.
if the Cowboys had a guy like Jalen Ramsey next to Trayvon Diggs, like that would fix a lot of your issues on the back end.
Yeah,
I mean,
imagine a guy like Sauce
look
over
at the
there.
Jets. That's what I was just gonna say. Look at the Jets with Sauce and
I'm
DJ
just hoping he
Reed.
can continue that, man. That's just like, and I think I'm being like way too harsh, but like, I feel like it's been so difficult, like in the modern NFL, to have a corner that's like making an impact every single year. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I mean, and it's tough to play corner. People, they'll love to dog a corner when they get beat, but realistically,
Disadvantage every play.
a corner not getting beat is so special to me, because if you're a corner that can realistically allow 50 or less yards per game at your spot, you are a good corner. Because
Yeah.
realistically, like any average to slightly above average receiver nowadays, like starting receiver, is going to pace for about 900 to 1,000 plus yards.
This is what
So
I
if
was gonna
you're
say, dude. I thought the Cowboys were pretty dumb for letting Byron Jones walk, and it's like he was a pretty damn good corner at the time. And it's like, what the hell has he done recently? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even in Nick might not love this. Like, even Xavier Howard, like he was a big name, like maybe a year ago, and it's like I feel like
like,
he hasn't really been playing that great now. It's like I don't know. Like I mean, Ramsey has had sustained success, but it's like and Surtain and Gardner are coming up right now, but it's like they're both, you know, like what year 2, year 1 guys. Like we'll
yeah.
see how much this sticks.
And by the way, again, obviously, I wouldn't change anything in the world. I'm so happy that we got Micah Parsons, but every now and then, I still think of what a secondary of Surtain and Diggs would have looked like on the back end. The two former Alabama boys.
Surtain was an option at one point.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It was like Mika or Surtain was kind of
Ba
the
basically, we were projected in the draft all like throughout the draft cycle that, oh, we were gonna get Pat Surtain, we're gonna get Pat Surtain, we're gonna get Pat Surtain. Well, basically, the reason why we didn't get Pat Surtain initially, and that I think that was the Cowboys' main plan, was to go with cornerback Surtain or JC Horn. The problem is the Broncos, after the Panthers shocked the world and went JC Horn at 8, the Broncos needing a quarterback, knowing that they had a potential franchise guy with Justin Fields staring them in the face, I ended up going with a corner. And at the time, everybody was like, well, what the fuck? Like, you need a quarterback. You can get, cost control, young rookie quarterback into your system right now. And they took the corner. And ultimately, now I get the last laugh because realistically, we got Micah Parsons and Denver. Screw you. You wanted to snipe away our corner. Well, guess what? Now you're stuck with that purgatory Russell Wilson contract.
literally.
Like
I
that.
said too in my if you go back to my Justin Fields video I made a while back, I said who were the teams? It was Panthers, Broncos, wasn't Bears. It was Panthers, Broncos, and some other team. And I was like, these teams have made a massive mistake passing on Justin Fields, and they're going to be picking here again next year in the top 10, not having like fixed their team at all. And I
Well,
think the
it's probably
Broncos
the
picked top
Jets.
10,
You
Panthers picked
probably
top 10. I don't
you
think it
probably
was
said that about the
Jets.
Jets, no?
Because the
Fair.
Jets, at that point, I don't know what the hell we were doing.
Um,
But we took a
Falcons,
quarterback.
Falcons, Falcons.
Falcons were the other team, 100%. It
Yeah,
was Falcons.
because I remember saying that too. I'm like, you have a young potential cost control quarterback available to you. Like, I don't get why people are
If you're there,
so.
you have to take one. If you're there and you don't have a guy, you have to just take one. Like
Yes,
and I think this other thing that teams don't understand is you can never have too many quarterbacks. Like when the Eagles had Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, like you can just trade one away for a bunch, dude. Their quarterbacks are very like they're valuable players. You know what I mean? Like if you have two good quarterbacks, that's a good thing to have.
sorry, I'm just reading Nick's comment too about messing with Parsons in the shower. Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Parsons, very good player, dude. He has some
He's
skeletons in the closet, but
it was so funny because obviously not funny if anything was true, but I mean
yeah,
realistically
of
it's
course, of
allegations.
course, of
But
course.
basically so after our streams that we do in the morning on Sundays, me and Corey sometimes we'll just chill on the call, like talking while we have red zone on. And I remember Yetur Gross Matos got a sack. I was like, oh, your boy
Penn State
Yetur.
boy.
I was like, yeah, your boy Yetur just got a sack, Corey. He's like, oh, look, doing his best Michael Parsons impression, not the first time.
Oh, come on.
Because he was in that scandal. Fuck.
100%.
Yeah, no.
All right.
There's
I think
go for it.
we'll end it off here. I'm gonna
Sounds good.
go eat dinner, but I appreciate you
Same.
coming on, Danny.
Anytime, brother.
Um, always fun. I know me, you, and Bush are gonna have to chop it up. Draft season, talk some prospects. I think that we should do like a like I almost would call like a night at the round table and just talk through prospects, just sort of talk shop without really much direction.
I'm
Because
down.
I like picking your guys' brain in terms of what you guys see on tape because you guys know me. I'm not sitting down watching the all 22. You guys can miss me with the all 22.
I feel you.
But yeah, so we'll talk. I appreciate you coming on. We're
Anytime.
doing, NFL playoff best ball drafts. Of course, if you guys are out there, you haven't hopped on there yet, I have a link in the description. I'll have a link down below in the comments. Hop on there, deposit. They'll match your deposit up to $100. You can hop in here, play NFL playoff best ball before it runs out. Just $5 enter. It's just a nice way to have some things to play for during the playoffs. Now, with that being said, that was me. That was Danny. Of course, I appreciate you coming on here, Danny. If you have anything to plug before hit the curtains.
Yeah, all I'll say is Danny Football 59 on Twitter if you want to go follow me over there. And of course, if you haven't already done so, Fantasy Stock Exchange on YouTube. I'm sure it's going to be in the description anyway. So hit us a follow. Obviously we're doing some quality content over there. Obviously, Ron's been doing a lot of quality content over here. So ultimately, here you want some young, motivated 20-something-year-olds just grinding some fantasy football every day of their life. That's basically what we all represent here.
Yep, that's what we're up to. So with that being said, thank you for everybody that checked out the live stream, hopped in these drafts with us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. I'll probably run back more of these streams next week. I feel like there's nothing really going on between now and the wild card. So definitely will not be the last of me doing these drafts on stream. So I will see you guys in the next one.